It is Chris and Rock the Watch, as usual. The two amigos, I guess you could call us.
Yep.
I don't think we have anybody in the room just yet, but
Yeah.
let's.
Then that's good. Then let me get my. Let me turn this. Oh, I got to turn this down. There we go. So it doesn't interfere with it. Yeah. Let me get this.
So we figured we would jump on a live stream to discuss today's releases from Rolex and from TUDOR. And I think we're both a little bit more excited about the TUDOR releases than we are the Rolex releases. However, I figure we would jump on a quick live stream. We're probably not going to go as long as we normally do, or at least we're going to try not to go as long as we normally do, and just quickly discuss the recent releases. Very quickly, though, I hope let's do a wristwatch check. I would say that Matt Stingray is wearing a Rolex today.
I am not, actually.
Oh,
I am not.
All right.
And because Rolex pissed me off so much,
Whoa. All right.
TUDOR seems to have killed it this year, that I'm honoring TUDOR, and I went ahead and went with the Black Bay.
Nice.
The Burgundy, which, by the way, side note, was supposedly rumored to be discontinued this year. Seems it has not been.
No, they have not discontinued it. No. Yeah. So maybe you want to start with the good and then go to the bad. I think there's not that many people because we didn't really announce any of this, so I don't think we have that many viewers right now. So maybe let's.
I can't even get on my computer to see. So
I can't. I don't have it up. But let's talk about let's talk about Rolex first, I guess, and then we'll get into to TUDOR very quickly. So I'll just run through some of it.
Yep.
And add in where I've left off. Obviously, they've come out with the new Explorer. It's in 36 millimeters. They have it in two-tone, and they're making it in stainless steel. So I believe that means that the 39 millimeter Rolex Explorer is now discontinued. So now it's only in 36 millimeters. It's pretty much the exact same watch with a slightly upgraded movement. And you get that two-tone version, which is, I think, the first time they've done a two-tone version of the Explorer. Now, I am not a fan of a two-tone Explorer for one reason and one reason only. It's their entry-level sports watch, and making the entry-level sports watch in two-tone kind of doesn't make sense to me. But again, because then you're going to spend. I think that the stainless steel version is $6,000 and change. So I don't remember what the actual, and I can just click on it. I'm sure they have prices here, but I don't remember what they said the price is going to be on the Explorer 1 in
for the two-tone.
For the two-tone,
I want to say it was almost 10.5, somewhere around 10.5.
Yeah, I think that's a lot for an Explorer 1.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money for an Explorer. 10.8. That's a lot of money.
10.8.
Yeah.
For a 36.
For a 36. I just think that's a lot of money. And I don't think it's not a bad looking watch. It's just a watch I would never buy under almost any circumstance. Even if I was able to get it at a discount, I probably wouldn't buy this.
No. And that's the thing too. 10.8 is the retail. We all know nobody's getting retail. You can't even find last year's. We were talking briefly before we went live. You can't even find last year's OPs for the Tiffany dial. When I just saw something recently, the Tiffany dial OP from last year is selling for like 12.5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's insane.
I don't see it, but I guess there are people who are willing to pay that price. This, I think. A lot of people who are looking to buy a Rolex who cannot purchase one right now, I think this will not sell that well. I think these will be available. I don't think there's going to be a waiting list for this. I could be completely wrong, but you never know. Who knows? What's up, Daniel? What's up, Ken? We don't have that many people in the chat. We just decided to go live literally like an hour ago because we've been going back and forth all day over text message talking about the releases. So we decided, what the hell, let's go live. So here we are. So obviously they've done the Explorer in 36 millimeters. They've done it in stainless steel. They've done it in two-tone. What was the other watches that they came out with
So they did. So it seems like the biggest changes were the OPs, because they dropped it down to 36. They came out with that jungle dial or leaf dial.
Yeah, this guy right here.
That one, which I gotta say, the dial looks good.
Yeah,
I do like it. I do. The size is the problem for me. And now I know some people, I just got done. So I've been consuming watch, content all day. I watched all your stuff, watched Bark and Jacks. I watched, a bunch of channels today.
Everybody's going crazy.
Everybody's going crazy consuming this stuff. And I know that Adrian from Bark and Jack is super happy about this. I don't know his wrist size or whatever. He's super jazzed that they went back down to 36. I'm not. Not that I was going to buy one of these anyway, but 36 is just way too small for my wrist. Probably yours too, because we have the same size wrist.
I'm a 39 millimeter guy, especially a watch on a bracelet like this. 39 millimeters is really perfect. I'll wear a 36, but I'd prefer at least the 38.
Yeah.
I think 39 is what I like. Yeah. But this dial is awesome. And they're also doing the meteorite version of the Daytona.
Daytonas, yes.
Now that's pretty sick.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
But again, what they say retail, I thought somebody said retail was 30,000 something. You're not going to get it for that. That's going to be $100,000. They're going to want 50, 60 on up. Those watches immediately are going to go to dealers, and it's not.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
I'm sure that the meteorite that they're using, it's probably top notch. It's not the same stuff that you're getting in these micro brands that is just like, this is probably, I mean,
special ROLEX meteorite.
Yeah. They've done meteorite in the past. So the meteorite dials on Rolex look pretty spectacular.
Yes.
And on a Daytona, it looks really good. I have to say, it does look really cool. But the price tag that they're gonna attach onto that for having meteorite is gonna be pretty crazy, and I think a lot of people are gonna jump on that meteorite dial because that's pretty cool. I think it's really cool, especially on a Daytona. I think that's really cool. I would love to own that watch. I'll never own that watch because I'll never be able to get it anywhere near a decent price. So
no, even though, I mean, even beat up Daytonas they're ridiculous now. They're mid-20s, 30s. It's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
So they announced that, and then they also announced the Batman.
They did. You can get it on Oyster. I guess now you can choose.
Yes,
Oyster or Jubilee now.
So you have the choice between the two. So I was looking at this before. Let me see if I could. Maybe I can't. There we go. So basically what you can do now is if you want, obviously it automatically will give you the choice between the Pepsi and the Batman or the Batgirl. But then you can configure the Batgirl now. And if you select the current selections, the price is still $9,700. And now you can get it on so it's actually cheaper, $9,500 on the Batman version.
On the Oyster?
Yeah. I prefer the Jubilee. I'm the Batgirl. I like the Batgirl. I like it better. But if I've always said this, if I were going to buy I would prefer to buy like a vintage GMTMASTER 2. But if I was going to buy a modern Rolex, it definitely would be either Submariner or GMTMASTER 2. I love them. Or even like I would love a Deep Sea or something like that. But these things sell for so much money, and now this Batman's going to sell for probably more than the Batgirl.
Oh yeah,
which is crazy, but that's just the way it is. And then they came out with I think a new dial or a new movement on the Sky Dweller. I think that's something else that they did.
Or I know they said they're going to put it on a Jubilee, I think also.
It's on a Jubilee.
Yeah.
For me, I think the biggest disappointment is this.
You got it right there.
Yeah, it just went away.
The Rolex too.
So
Explorer.
The Explorer 2, I think, is just the biggest disappointment out of everything. So no, sorry, I just clicked too far away. The Explorer 2, I think, is the biggest disappointment because they just really did nothing. It's the 50th anniversary. And they upgraded the movement. They changed the lugs a little bit. They did something with the hands, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much unchanged. A lot of people were speculating that we were going to get a ceramic bezel on it.
Yep.
No go. I thought that would have I thought that would have looked great, but I get it. They want to keep it sort of, in keeping with the original, and it's the stainless steel brush bezel, brush center links, that whole thing. Good looking watch, no matter what. I really love the polar dial, but
I think, absolutely. But I think that's the biggest rub for watch enthusiasts and Explorer 2 owners is that stainless steel bezel. One, it scratches up.
Yeah.
It scratches easier. I shouldn't say real easy, but easier than a ceramic one. And then refinishing it, you run the risk of eating away at the numbers.
Yeah.
So you really can't, and you got to refresh the stuff sometimes. You got to, when people came out, I know you were talking earlier before we got in, when Rolex dropped those crazy OP dials last year, that was a big step, I think, for them, because they don't usually go that crazy. And that wasn't all that crazy compared to some watch brands. And those things, you can't even get those now. Those are ridiculously popular, especially the Tiffany dial one.
Yeah.
So they could have, look, I get where they're coming from. They're like, I think their attitude's probably like, we're Rolex, and no matter what we make, we could polish a turd and put Rolex superlative chronometer on it, and somebody will pay 50 grand for it. They'll be like, this is the special, so I get it. They're selling them regardless. They'll sell them. You still won't be able to get this one at an AD unless you know somebody, or you're married to them, or they die, or whatever. You got to have the in with the in and the in to get this stuff at the normal price. So normal people, I bet you when this comes out and it hits the gray market and people start selling them, or it hits Chrono 24, they'll be 12, 13, 14 grand brand new. Because I think they're already 11 or 12
this
for the
is,
last model.
I don't remember. I'll be honest with
I
you.
want to say it's probably 9 retail.
Yeah, no, it's less than 9.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's probably 8. Yeah, 8.5, because it's got to be less than the GMTMASTER.
Okay, so it's 8.5 retail. But if you go on any like Joma Shop or something like that, brand new in the box, last year's model, they're like 11.5, 12.
Right.
So,
which is crazy, because 2 years ago you could have got these at a discount.
You could have got them at 6-8 grand. Yeah, it's nuts.
Grand. It's crazy.
It's nuts.
Know, but
so my overall assessment of the Rolex kind of thing, I was all excited. I'm like, yeah, let me see them discontinue the Cellini. That was a rumor. They were gonna, supposedly a rumor was ceramic bezel on the Explorer 2, possibly discontinue the Milgauss, although that comes up every year, and a few other things. But I was kind of like, after this, I'm like, wah, wah, wah.
Meh.
What was that? Meh. Yeah, it's what you said. It was meh. That's the best. Yeah. Meh. You know what it was like? I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones, but it was kind of like the final episode of Game of Thrones. Like, what the was that?
Yeah. What was that? I invested 10 years. What's going on here? 10 years of my goddamn life.
Right. And this is how it ends? That's how it was for me. I was like, are you kidding? Like, that was it.
I looked at my wife and I was like, this is bull.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for, something exciting. Something. Throw the renderings they had of this Explorer 2, what you have up on the screen right now with the ceramic bezel, look fantastic.
Awesome.
I was like, if
the contrast looks really good.
Oh my God. I said they are gonna kill it with
the bright white dial and the black
orange
bezel.
hand. That orange hand that pops and the yes. I was like, this is gonna be awesome.
The one thing I have to say is, the one thing I've said about Rolex, and the good thing about Rolex, and I always compare them to Porsche, is because the 911 has been around for so many years. I don't remember when the 911 came out, and they've been incrementally upgrading the 911 slowly. They keep the engine in the back. It gets a little bit different every single iteration. They change it a little bit every year, and then
tweak it.
Yeah, every 5 years they make a little bit bigger of a change, but nothing enormous. And if you look at a 911 from today and you look at a 911 from the 60s, they don't look the same at all, but you definitely can see that they are the same brand.
Yes.
And that's Rolex. So I mean, if you look at an Explorer from the 1960s, or you look at a Milgauss from the 1950s, 1960s, if you look at the GMT Master 2 from the 1960s, GMT Master from the 1960s, you put them side by side, you're going to know that they're made by the same company. They're going to look very similar, but they're definitely not. Everything is going to be different. The whole entire watch is different, and nothing is the same. But they just constantly upgrade it just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they don't need to do anything. They don't need to actually recreate the wheel.
As long as this is coming in like it is, they don't care.
Yeah. It's like what Patek Philippe just recently did. I don't know if you heard about what Patek Philippe just did.
What, with the green 5711?
No, although the green 5711 is crazy and people are going to go nuts over that.
That's awesome looking.
It looks good. It looks gorgeous.
It looks brilliant.
I would never pay the money for that watch, even the retail price. I think it's if you've ever held one, and I have, they aren't that great. It's not that. It's nice. It's nothing like it's honestly, a Royal Oak or a Vacheron overseas are made nicer. The bracelets are made nicer. It's just different feel. But anyway, but what they're doing is they're no longer selling watches in their boutiques.
Did they just announce that today along with the...
No, this was like last week. They've decided that they're going to value-only salons is what they're going to call them. They're no longer going to be selling. They're going to pause. They're not never going to sell them again. Right. But they've paused selling watches in their boutiques. Why? Because the demand far weighs out the actual supply of watches. And that's what Rolex has going on. They could just close down the boutiques and sell to only people on waiting lists. They don't need to show anybody watches anymore.
No.
They could have boutiques open just for service and for people to pick up watches. They don't need to actually actively sell watches right now. They don't need to do it. Now they'll do it because they produce way more watches than another brand like Patek Philippe, but that's what's going on. So they don't need to really change anything, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's their mentality with these watches. They don't need to fix it because no one is complaining about them. Everybody, and the way that people talk, and I was talking about the article on Hodinkee that discusses this exact watch, and they're like, it's just enough changes to really make you notice. And I was like looking at it, I was like, I don't notice any changes.
No, I don't notice anything.
It's just enough changes to make me notice. I don't notice nothing.
No.
Even the lugs being thinner, I don't notice it.
No.
And I guarantee you put this watch next to a current version, you wouldn't know.
No, you wouldn't have no clue, because the only thing basically, like you and I are talking about, is a movement upgrade. Supposedly they recontoured the lugs a little bit. I can't tell the difference. Maybe the hands are recontoured a little bit. What is that recontour? What is that? They're like, but the biggest is the movement. And I'm like, so what was wrong with the last movement? Yeah, apparently has a longer power reserve. Oh, that's great. You know what? Let me tell you. You know what they could have done? They could have thrown a green hand, because if you haven't noticed, guys, this is the year of the green dial. Like everything's hitting green right now. Cartier apparently released new tanks, green, red, blue, something like that. Patek with the green dial. They're going all kinds of crazy green. Panerai's got some like green as in eco-friendly watches coming out made of reclaimed metal and stuff like that. They could have taken the orange secondhand off here and thrown a green one on there, like on not the Air King. No. Which one there's one of them that's got a green hand. The
GMT.
The GMT. Throw a green hand on here, and people would have gone nuts. You would have noticed the difference. It would have gone nuts. They could have changed the dial on one. Instead of just black and white, they could have offered a blue, a Tiffany blue Explorer for their 50. That's the other thing that I think boggles people's minds. Now, they're Rolex. They can do whatever they want the rest of this year. They might throw something out the rest of this year and go, hey, by the way, we're also doing this. But this is the 50th anniversary of this watch. And this is what you give us, the same watch? Without any major changes?
It's crazy when you think about it, though. If any other company went from an orange hand to a green hand, no one would talk about it. There wouldn't be an article.
No one would care.
Two guys with kids that get on a live stream at 8:30 at night. We're talking about,
Yep.
no one would care. No one would give a crap. But I mean, if they put a green hand on this watch, people would be running in the streets. Like, watch collectors.
Hodinkee would have had a meltdown. They would have been like, this is the greatest thing from Rolex ever.
Or the worst thing. And people would have gone, it would have been, people would have went back and forth on it. I think it would be awesome because I want a little bit of a change, but whatever. I mean, this is, like I said, they have it in the bag. Why go crazy? They're going to sell every single one that they make. What's the difference? Why put the effort in to change it when every single one of them have already been sold? So
no, that's true. That's true. And well, kind of with this that came out last year with the Zenith chronograph. I forget the name of it. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The one that everybody was screaming.
That looked like a Daytona.
That looked like a Daytona. Well, first of all, even people that can afford a Daytona might not want to pay that much for a Daytona because the stuff their prices on those, the prices on Rolexes in general are ridiculous, but on those they're overly ridiculous. They're just ridiculous. So people are shifting towards the Zenith, which, by the way, is probably a better made watch than the Daytona. I'm just saying.
It's cool. I really like that.
I liked it. YouTubers were having fits over that stuff. It's just a copy. And they're going, it's like you said, it blew up. And I'm like standing there thinking to myself, I like it.
I love it.
I
did a video about it. I said, even if it is a copy, I like it. I think it looks great. It's not an exact copy. They're definitely going after that. They put that solid ceramic bezel. It sort of has the same sort of tachometer on it. They're going for it. Not a bad thing. I think it looks great, and and they have their own heritage.
That's because Rolex has left what in like politics and in countries and stuff. There's a power vacuum. Rolex has left that vacuum where the Daytona used to be what $9,000, $10,000, $12,000, and now it's 3 times that price. Rolex Daytona for 30 grand. Come on, man. Stupid. Come on. It's stupid. So Zenith, right? If I was Zenith, I'd do the same thing, which kind of ties into what we're going to talk about with Tudor. I've been like, okay, if you're going to leave the 15,000 on down market open, I'm in. I'm jump right in, and people are going to go for it.
I've always been a fan of Tudor. I've always been a fan of Rolex. I love the Daytona. I think it's a really good looking watch, but I would never spend that much money on it. And I think the Zenith would be a better watch anyway. So I would go with the Zenith. That's just the way I am. So speaking of which, and not to go too long with this, but as we mentioned, Tudor also came out with some new watches. Exactly the same time as Rolex. Obviously, I've made a few videos about Tudor over my my tenure as a YouTuber. I am in the market currently to buy another Tudor. I've owned one Tudor. I sold it and then I tried to buy it back. I never bought it again because I had an issue. But I will be buying another Tudor. And I really like these new chronographs. I actually like every watch that they came out with, except for the 1926. It's just not my style. But I think every watch that they came out with hit it out of the park. And a few of them, they're doing something that Rolex would never do. And they are even taking chances, which I think is pretty cool. So the Black Bay Chrono, I think, is probably, for me, is the biggest it didn't go to the page. It's probably the best release out of all of them, except for maybe the silver. I also like the silver a lot.
Silver one's cool, but that's you already know me. I've made a bunch of videos on Panda chronographs. Yep, my never-ending search for a Panda chronograph, and that's the one right there. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "What?" Yeah. But I think I briefly talked, like we told everybody, we've been talking all day. This will be, you won't be able to get this in a store or at retail probably till the end of the year. It took 6 months to a year for you to start getting the Black Bay 58s when it first came out. People were buying those up too. Now you can get one. Now you can just go up and order a Black Bay 58, especially the black bezel one.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be the same way. I think this is going to be really popular.
Yeah. And also, I mean, it's sort of channeling the Paul Newman Daytona.
Yes.
Black bezel, panda dial, a little bit of red in it. Nothing to, it's just like it's actually like, is it a white dial? Is it a slightly off white dial? I can't tell.
I can't either. I hope it's a bright white dial.
It looks
bright white.
It looks really good though. I like the screwed down crowns. I like I made videos. I've said this before. I really love the Tudor chronograph because it looks like a vintage Rolex chronograph.
Yes.
And that's what
100%.
That's what I like. I like the vintage Daytonas. And obviously I'm never going to own a vintage Daytona. I'm not going to spend $250,000 on a vintage Daytona. This is the closest thing I'll ever get to one. And for $5,300, $4,900 on a strap, and they're making some pretty cool straps with it too. You can get this bun strap, which is pretty cool. I mean, I probably never buy it on this, but I think it looks cool. I would never wear it just because I wouldn't wear a bun strap. And then you got the reverse panda.
Yeah. I even like that.
That's
if I had to go first choice, obviously I'd get panda, white dial, black styles. But this is cool too, man. I wouldn't kick this out of bed for eating crackers. You know what I'm saying? This is cool.
Really good looking watches. They did a really good job. And I like this. I like the aesthetic of it. I like the way that the rivet on the case, the bracelet, the riveted bracelets are awesome on these. The little bit of red, they did a really good job. They really put together a really nice watch. Oh, these are already out. They've just have them. This is just the new colorway, but I mean, they just did a good job. I think they've done a good job here. That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna save my pennies for this one. I think I'm gonna get the white dial one.
The
panda
one on the bracelet, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't like buying too many watches on straps because then it's too hard to go back and find the bracelet. I'd rather do it the other way.
I'm the same way. I would just go with the look at that. Sunken sub registers, applied indices.
Fantastic. Little red tip on the chronograph hand.
Fantastic. They really did. They knocked it out of the park, man. They did it.
They did. It's
really great job. And then, but I mean, not to say, I mean, this is probably the most controversial one, at least from comments and videos.
I was about to say that one. I'm not going to say it was a miss. I think it's gorgeous. It's the price tag for that. Now you're in Rolex territory.
There's two problems and one really funny thing about it. So I think the one biggest problem is the price tag is $16,800. Yeah. And then they don't need to charge. That's a ridiculous amount of money. That's insane. That's a gold watch from a major brand price.
Yes.
And if they're trying to undercut, this is not undercutting. You could buy a Rolex for that price. Number one, I mean, if you could buy a Rolex, but number two, it looks like the Black Bay bronze.
It does. I was about to say, at first I thought it was bronze.
Exactly.
When I first saw this, I said, oh, they released a bronze with the green and green. I was like, man, that green looks great on that bronze. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's gold.
That's exactly what I did. When I saw the price, I was like,
yes.
16, what is this, limited to 4? This is, it's gold. Oh, damn. All right, that's why. So
it's the 58. It's a 58, so it's a smaller size.
So it's 39 millimeters.
Yeah.
And you could see the movement from the back. It is an in-house movement. It gets the in-house movement.
But I saw, I forget who it was, a YouTuber talking about that video. That makes it a little bit more thicker. I don't know why they did that. It makes it thicker, one, to put the sapphire on the back, and two, it's not a decorated movement.
No.
So why?
Well, have you seen this movement in person?
Is this the same one that's in my 41?
Yeah.
It's just shrunk down.
It's the same one, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it's the exact same movement.
You're right. Yeah.
Is it? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've taken the back off of mine.
It's not bad. I don't think it's bad looking.
It's not bad, but if you flip over like the Omega, it's got the Geneva striping or whatever.
Yeah, I have that.
Right, with the coaxial. I mean,
it's all bead blasted. It's just like a matte finish. They bevel the edges. I think it looks very, very clean. You know, the free spun.
Looks like an NH35. No, I'm just kidding.
It looks better than an NH35, but I
Yeah.
see what you're saying because it's just like a very plainly finished, you know.
Right.
But I think the best part about this, and I laughed about this when I saw it, complimentary strap.
Yeah.
So
Complimentary
you're telling
strap.
me I pay $16,800 and I
it
get a
comes on a
complimentary
NATO.
strap? It's complimentary? Am I not paying for it? I'm paying $16,800 for the watch.
Well, thanks for throwing that in. Like,
Thanks for throwing in the strap, guy.
Yeah,
it's not even. It's a NATO strap.
Let me tell you what. If it was completely gold bracelet, gold. If it was an all solid gold watch,
yeah,
like the old gold date just solid gold watch like that, I could see maybe the price tag of that. I still wouldn't buy it because, like we said, I got last generation.
Yeah.
Two-tone bluesy, pre-owned, of course, but it was $14,000, so it's $2,000 cheaper than this, and it's a Rolex, and it's a Submariner, and it's got a lot of gold in it and everything else. So who in their right mind would choose this?
The same amount of gold as this one does.
Probably does.
All the links
in the center are gold, and the clasp and the bezel.
Yeah, so
it's all gold.
There's more gold on that watch than there is on this watch. Because your watch, actually, you got it at a discount, I'm pretty sure, because I think that watch probably retails for around $18,000.
So it was, I got it. I did. I think the price was $13,350. And so, then, of course, it was like $750 in taxes and something else. So, I pushed it right over $14,000.
I would take your watch over this watch any day.
100%. 100%.
And that's where there's not a bracelet. You're not getting a bracelet. I need a bracelet.
That's where they're going to run into problems with this one.
It's a dive watch.
Yeah.
Not that anybody's going diving with a $17,000 gold watch.
No.
I mean, there are people who do it. I'm just not that person.
Well, I've heard real divers say that they all use dive computers nowadays, and they'll have a watch as a backup in case their dive computer fails. But it'll usually be like, you know, I guess it could be whatever they want it to be, but it could be like a Seiko or a G-Shock or something like that, you know.
Yeah. I'm not strapping. You know, this is the guy that's sitting on his yacht and he's jumping in, but he's not buying this.
No, he's buying Rolex. Yes.
He's buying the Patek Philippe and Solid.
Yes, because the name brand goes with it. Tudor still is in the shadow of Rolex.
Exactly.
Even though I think they killed them this year in the releases, they're still like, they still have the baby brother of Rolex.
Yeah.
They do. So
I've made this comment in my videos before. Again, we've talked about it. They're owned by the same company. People say they're not. They're under the Hans Wilsdorf corporate foundation.
Foundation, or
They've been everything that Tudor does is in check by Rolex. They're not allowed to come out with a watch that's going to be better than Rolex. It's just never going to happen,
bro. So Volkswagen owns Porsche. They still own Porsche?
Yes,
I think they do. It's the same thing. Volkswagen, they are not going to allow a Volkswagen to be as good as a 911. They're not. They'll make models that might be right under it, a hair under it, for cheaper prices for those people, but they're not going to release a Volkswagen that's faster than a Porsche or better. It's the same thing. The companies, they check all that. I don't care what anybody says. They check that stuff. Why do you think they haven't come back out with the Tudor Submariner? Because if you remember that back in the day, they had a Tudor Submariner. I don't remember when they stopped making them. Maybe it was when they stopped importing stuff in the US or what, but they had Tudor Submariners. Heck, they used to have Rolex crowns and Rolex parts in them way back in the day.
Yeah.
So
it was a Rolex with a movement in it.
Yes.
Yeah. With a Tudor name on it. Yeah. I was so into those when I was younger. I never bought one. I wish I did. I kick myself every day. I was really into them. I used to scour eBay every day looking for, I couldn't afford it. So I never bought one, but that was pretty cool. I thought, you can get a Rolex for pennies on the dollar. But
if you watch any of the history of this stuff, Hans Wilsdorf said he created this as a cheaper or a less expensive everyman's brand because his Rolexes were more expensive. I mean, what else do you want? The dude that created Rolex created Tudor to be the everyday, everyman's watch.
See, listen, Alvin, I agree with you. The Pelagos is probably objectively a better watch than the Submariner, but in the actual details, they won't allow it to be. In other words,
Yeah.
It's made out of titanium, I believe, right? And it has better water resistance and all of this other stuff, but they won't. It's a different watch than the Submariner. How could I put this? So this watch that we're looking at right now is actually modeled after the Submariner.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It takes actual a lot of its styling cues from the Submariner. The Pelagos is a little bit different, and since it's in titanium, since it's a more modern version. It's not gonna. They don't.
It's bigger too, isn't it? Like diameter.
It's 42 millimeters.
42. Okay, yeah.
42 or 43. No, I think it's 41 actually, or 42. I don't remember.
It's thicker too.
Yeah, it's thicker.
Yeah.
It doesn't have as nice of a movement as any Rolex will ever have. They just won't put a decorated movement and all this different stuff. It's just the way it is. Objectively, yes. For the price, yes, I agree. I would say the same of the Black Bay 58, but that's someone like me saying it. And from the Rolex standpoint, people who are going to buy the Rolex won't agree with you whatsoever.
Look, I own both. You see, I showed it. Wait, you didn't even do a wrist check. What are you?
Oh, I am wearing a Formex. Actually, he's doing the review.
It's a great watch.
The Formex Essence 39.
So Alden, I own both. As you can see, Black Bay. That's a fantastic watch, by the way.
Yes.
Formex is great.
Yeah.
And I own the two-tone bluesy Submariner. And like I said, not taking anything away from this watch, but the Rolex is better. It's better made. It really is. This is a great watch, but the Rolex is better made. It wears better. It's thick. The dimensions are better. It just is. It's my opinion. So
they know what they're doing. They're not going to.
Oh yeah.
Well, the next watch that I want to talk about, and then we should probably wrap it up after this because we don't want to go too long on this, but is this. And this is the one that really got me. And I would buy this in a heartbeat.
Is that the sterling silver one?
This is the sterling silver version of the Black Bay 58. I think it's so cool that they came out with this watch. There are not many brands out there who have made a sterling silver watch, and this is pretty cool. And you ask yourself, why haven't they? Because they could put a stainless steel back on here. It will react with your skin a little bit, but you could polish this up and it'll look really bright, and silver looks really good. There's some brushing and polishing, that grayish brown sort of bezel and dial. I think it looks fantastic. I don't know. And I wish they came out with it on the bracelet because I think it would look awesome on a bracelet too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think I saw somewhere they said it's some type of proprietary blend of, it's not pure sterling silver. It's some kind of blend to try to ward off
with aluminum, probably. That's what they did with the bronze, right?
Okay, yeah. But like you said, just get some silver polish, hit it up every so often, but some people like that. So that's why some people buy bronze, because apparently they like the patina to build up on it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Oris, oh my God, did you see that?
Yeah, the different color dials
and the solid bronze
cases and bracelets.
Still can't. I just still can't connect with Oris for some reason.
I don't like those. I didn't think they look good anyway. I think I think a lot of, like you said, Cartier. They came out with a bunch of watches also that have a whole bunch of different colors in the dials, and they're all copying those OPs from last year from Rolex.
They saw how popular they were.
Capture some of that. They think it's the dials that are doing it, so people are, I don't see it. I don't really agree with it, but
yeah. What did Falcon Heavy ask? Any thoughts on the silicone hairspring?
Oh, yeah, this could be. Oh, so I got to. Sorry, you were going to answer.
Say again. Oh, I think why wouldn't you put a silicone hairspring in there?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yes, absolutely. I think
that's
a lot of
the way of the future.
Whenever I do a video about watches that have silicone in it, they're like, "Oh, it's plastic." I mean, it's the way of the future. It gives you the extra, basically the extra
anti-magnetism.
anti-magnetism, and it really does work.
Oh, absolutely. I was going to say that's what the Omega Seamaster Professional 300 has.
Yeah.
The one I have, and let me tell you, that thing is, because that's what the magnet affects, is the hairspring that gets it all wonky. The Milgauss is only good. It's old technology, and it's got a little apparently iron Faraday cage thing in there to block it. So it's good up to 1,000 Gauss. That Seamaster is not even supposedly in that scientist Milgauss roll thing. 15,000 Gauss.
Yeah.
15,000 just because of that silicone hairspring. So
I don't even think it says anti-magnetic on the dial.
It doesn't. Right? It doesn't anywhere.
Awesome. Yeah.
So of course they're going to go to that. I mean, it's just
it's pretty awesome. I think
it's the way of the future.
You gotta, and honestly, people don't realize how important that is. I'm sitting here. I have 3 computer screens in front of me. I have a speaker. Then I have a cell phone. I have a microphone. I mean, there's a PC right underneath my desk right here.
All magnets.
I bring watches over here. I put them down all the time. If they don't have any anti-magnetic properties, they're going to get magnetized. It can happen very easily.
It can.
Yeah. So you can't stop silver from tarnishing by alloying. They're using a coating. Oh, all right.
What that?
I didn't know that.
Makes sense too.
All right.
But eventually that coating will probably rub off.
Yeah, it's DLC coating. You probably won't see it, and then it'll eventually just come off, and then it'll start tarnishing. I would prefer to. I would prefer to tarnish, honestly, and then eventually you could just polish it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, you probably would remove some of the problem with polishing it up is that you would have to use something like Cape Cod cloth or something like that, and then you would just polish the entire watch. So it would be very hard to keep those bevels in the case, and the brushing would be completely destroyed. So I could see your point. Again, Eldon, that's a very good point. So
yeah, sure.
So they probably are putting a coating on there.
So did anybody? I didn't see. I was looking all day. I guess all the brands didn't release new things. Like I didn't see anything from Breitling or Tag.
Breitling released a bunch of watches.
Did they? Well. I didn't see
They did a bunch of different colorful dials as well. I didn't do any news videos on that. Hublot released a whole bunch of stuff.
I did see that one. Don't they have like it's a clear watch, like the entire thing is seen through?
Yeah, no one cared. And
I was like, what is that? Like,
yeah, I don't know. And then Panerai released a few watches. They released some green materials like recycled metal. And they have like a whole open source thing with that, which is pretty cool. Did you know that they've created this? So what they've done is they've worked with vendors to make recycled stainless steel, and that stainless steel that they've actually been able to source, they're sharing that information with anybody who wants it. So in other words, they're telling other watch manufacturers, Tudor wants to make a watch that way. They're gonna share all of the information that they got with Tudor, so that they can make a watch in recycled stainless steel as well, to give them all the sources where they got it from, anything. So that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Except one of them is $60,000. So one of the Panerais, I forget which one it's E something. They both have a little green E in front of them. I saw a video on 2 of them. And they said one of the models was $60,000.
Yeah.
So
is that much? It's probably one of the ones that you never have to service.
I think so.
So they make a movement that needs to be serviced every 70 years or something like that.
God.
So it never needs a service. And if it ever needs a service during that 70 years, you don't have to pay for the service because they guarantee it for 70 years. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
Not a lot of brands will do that. And they also offer 8 years warranty, which is pretty good as well. So they do stand behind their watches, so that's pretty good.
I didn't see anything from AP. I looked. I saw the green 5711.
A few more days of Watches and Wonders, right? It's tomorrow.
I think so.
Yeah. So very quickly, let's wrap it up with the last watch on this. Oh, I can't. There we go. And the last watch that was released, and I mean, there were 2 other watches that they released. They released this 1926, which I honestly don't find that interesting. It's got an edge of movement. It's 41 millimeters. It's a dress watch, sort of. I do like the dial. I just don't find it very, very interesting. It's got a laser etched dial. It's got gold indices and hands. Looks pretty good. Edge of movement, $1,850. Not a bad looking watch at all, but nothing that I would be too interested in. The one that I thought was pretty cool, and the last watch I guess we could talk about, is this guy, the Black Bay 36. They also released it in 41 and 32, and they released it on a silver dial. And then what I thought was pretty interesting is that, of course, this comes on a bracelet. It's 36 millimeters. It's a field watch. This is in pretty close competition with the Rolex Explorer that they just released. However, as I mentioned, it comes with an ETA movement. It doesn't come with or a Sleeta-based movement. I don't know which one they're putting in it. Not an in-house movement. And they do that because obviously now they knew that they were going to go down to 36 millimeters. That's why they could put the in-house movement in here. They don't do it because they don't want it to really directly compete with the 36 millimeter version of the
Explorer. Yeah.
Explorer. And you can see, because they do this, because there's a 39 millimeter version of the Black Bay. There's no 39 millimeter version of the Submariner. There's a 41 millimeter version of the Submariner, right?
Yes, there is now. Yeah.
So you can still get a 41 millimeter version of the Black Bay, right?
Yes.
So, all right. So there's some competition there. It does have an in-house movement, but I don't know.
So when I first saw this, I thought all the around the edges of the hands and the indices was blue, a la like a Seamaster. And I was like, wow, that looks great. And then but I think it's black.
It's black, I think.
It's black. I think it would be awesome if they put blue around that.
It's like black. Yeah.
Yeah, it's black. At first glance, I thought it was a blue, and I'm like, oh, that would look awesome.
I like it still, though.
I like it. It's still a great watch.
I think it's a very clean looking watch, and it's definitely a very good Rolex Explorer alternative. The Explorer comes in at 6,400. This comes in at 30. What did I say? 29. So
29. Yeah, that's less than half the price.
So it's really not, And then they're
also
Rolex
getting to the point now you can't even get an OP. You're not, or an Explorer 1. You're not. I bet you that thing is gonna sell like hotcakes. So you won't even be able to get it.
No, that's what's the next step here, man. That's why they are releasing tons of watches through the Tudor moniker, because they know that people are getting discouraged by Rolex. There are certain people who aren't getting discouraged and will be able to buy them. And then there's certain people that will just say, the hell with it. I'm going to go to Tudor and buy a Tudor. And then they have watches like this that are obviously very good alternatives to those.
And listen, it's a smart move. They know what they're doing.
It's a business.
The Rolex, I think. Now, here's a question for you. Do you think, because I think that Rolex is trying like Seiko, but even farther up. I think they're trying to move farther upstream.
Oh, Rolex is?
Yes. I think they're trying to, because now I think they have the attitude now is like, well, we sell to rich people, so go be poor somewhere else. That's their, if you don't like our watches, go be poor somewhere else. Buy a Tudor. And they're getting you with Tudor. You say, you think you're sticking it to the man. You're thinking, I'm not buying no darn Rolex. I'll go buy a Tudor instead. And they're like, well, we got you there too. Yeah,
it's the same family, my friends.
Same family.
But, I think that Rolex are trying to move up market, but they're not going to take it too far, because the bread and butter is where they are. They are a high-end watchmaker. They are not the highest end watchmaker, but they are on the higher end. They compete with brands like, they compete with Omega. They still compete with brands like Omega. They still compete with brands like Blancpain. They compete with other brands that are higher end, that are lower end. Personally, like I said, if I have $30,000 and I'm going to go spend it on a watch, which is, a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to buy a Daytona, because I know that Daytona sells to somebody else for, $12,000, $13,000, $14,000, whatever it retails for right now. I'm going to go to AP and I'm going to buy an AP that I can get that isn't being waitlisted. And I'm going to just buy that instead.
Mhm.
Because to me, it makes more sense. You're getting a better watch and you're spending less money. Or you're saying you're spending the exact same money, but you're getting a better watch. Technically, a better
or
watch.
you'd buy the Zenith for 10 and then take your other 20, maybe buy a Submariner, get 3 watches. You know?
So I mean, I would never, you know, for a vintage watch, I would pay a little bit over, but what people are paying right now is kind of crazy. And Tudor's been sitting there. They've been, you know, and they listen. When I first started collecting watches, and I've said this in a few times, when I first started collecting watches, no one cared about Tudor. No one cared about Tudor. No one looked at Tudor. Tudor had some horrible designs. Really, it was the Submariner that they made. There was a few other ones that had some California dials.
The Ranger, the North Flag. Nobody ever liked those.
The North Flag, they didn't make. Up until they re-entered the U.S. market. When they re-entered the U.S. market, they re-entered very strong. They came out with the Black Bay. They came out with the North Flag. They came out with the Advisor. Those were the 3. I think that was the only 3 watches that they came out with right in the beginning. And that Black Bay was obviously a hit. And it's the reason why they're here. All of their other watches don't sell.
Yeah.
You can buy every one of their watches at a very big discount. It's the Black Bay that sells. It's the same story with what was the story with Rolex, where if you wanted a Rolex, you were able to get any Rolex you wanted. The only ones that even the Daytona didn't sell, but it was the Daytona. If you wanted the Daytona, you weren't able to get it.
Yeah.
And then things started happening where it was the GMTMASTER, and that became the new Daytona as well. So you weren't able to get those. And then it started moving over.
You can't get any of them.
And now it's just any Rolex that's available.
Yep.
I blame social media. But that's a different story.
No, but you're right. But look, it's the same thing. Honestly, it's the same thing with AP. It's if you say AP, people say Royal Oak. That's their flagship. Nobody goes after pretty much except for people like other than the Royal Oak. They're like, can you even name another model that AP makes? Or same thing with JLC, the Reverso. Honestly, Patek does it, but the 5711 is their big. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I bought that a long time ago. I would buy it now, not for the price that they're going for. No way.
No. But Tudor, you're right. It's the Black Bay. And when the Black Bay 58 came out, it even went crazier. I think this chronograph is going to do the same thing.
I really love it. I really like it.
I do too. I'm going to get one.
I think it's gorgeous. And you know, I have a lot of problems right now because Seiko is coming out with it next month. They're coming out with the Sharp Edge GMT. I really want that watch. I really like the Sharp Edge. And now that they put a GMT movement in it, it's a genuine GMT. I really want that. Now this watch is coming out. I don't know. There's a lot of decisions to be made, my friend. That's a good price, $5,200 for
a good price
for in-house chronograph.
Yeah,
it shares the same movement with I think it's with Breitling. So Breitling and Tudor teamed up to make the movement that's in this watch.
Okay,
it's not a bad movement by any means, but they did team up. So this movement is also in Breitlings, and the Breitlings are actually more expensive than this, I believe.
Oh wow,
yeah, the chronographs, yeah. So, yeah. Hey man, I'm disappointed overall. Just to recap, I'm kind of disappointed. I think we both were. I said meh. You said
I said same thing. I said that's a perfect way to describe it. Meh. But then I think it was more like I said. It was like you're getting ready, just like the end of the Game of Thrones, and you're like, what the was that? Like, what was that?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Rolex. I thought they did bad last year with at least they had the crazy OP dials, but with them out there trying to beat the drum like, no, it's a completely different Submariner. Get out of here. The only way to tell a difference is you put the two Submariners together and one had fatter lugs than the other one. So they trimmed down the lugs and they increased the case size just a bit, but they look exactly the same because they did that.
Yeah.
But now the Explorer 2 was I think the Explorer 2 was the biggest disappointment. It was ridiculous.
I thought it was hilarious when that happened, when they released the Submariner. Hodinky were running around like chickens, got their heads cut off, and they were like, it's a new Submariner. Oh my God. There's like 10 articles. Everybody's talking about it. And they tried to like do this with the Explorer too. And I was just reading the article. I was like, you got to be joking me.
Right.
This is ridiculous. But
no, they're just shills. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway,
yeah.
Tudor, I think we like what Tudor did.
Yes.
I think that a lot of people like what Tudor are doing. Hopefully they keep it up. I really like this. I like the silver. I like the 925 Black Bay 58.
I think they kind of are out of their mind a little bit with that gold Black Bay 58 for the price.
I think for the price, it's pretty.
It's ridiculous.
16,000 is like
it's ridiculous. Now I'm not saying that Tudor cannot build a watch for $16,000, but that ain't the one.
No,
that's not the one.
No, and $16,000 it should be on a bracelet that's made out of gold too.
Exactly,
at the same price.
Exactly.
And if they did that, I would say to myself, "Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice." And then it would make me. I wouldn't think immediately that this is a Black Bay bronze. I immediately thought it was a Black Bay bronze.
So did I.
So, I mean, honestly, if you didn't tell me this was released and then
you just showed the picture
was released and I was walking down the street and I saw someone with this on their wrist, I'd be like, oh, that dude has a Black Bay bronze.
Yep. 100%.
Maybe
so from what I saw today,
different person, but
I don't know. I only saw the two models, the eco models from Panerai. I was kind of like, oh, okay, I get it. I dig the good cause, but the 5711 in green, man, that looked good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that looked good. Like you said, though, still wouldn't pay the price for that.
Yeah, we'll pay $100,000 for it, but
that's ridiculous. This watch that's on the screen, I think that was a bit of a miss for Tudor, but otherwise, from what I saw, between Rolex, Cartier, Oris, Panerai, Patek Philippe, I think Tudor is coming out, in my mind, the clear winner today. Yeah. They killed it today, especially with that Panda dial chronograph.
Let's see what else comes out over the next few days. Maybe we can put another call if we
absolutely
if we are inspired to. But anyway, thank you guys. We've gone an hour anyway, so I thought this would be quicker than that. But thank you guys for joining, and I think we should just end it here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right.
Take it easy, guys.
Take it easy, guys. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.